All right, we're ready to begin. Welcome to day 6 of 30-Day Redemption. My name is Kashab. I want to thank everyone for tuning in again. This is the 6th day of the Mind segment. And so far, we have some very good presenters, some very good information that can help people who are in quarantine or who are kind of sitting at home do something to help free themselves from the situation that they're in, particularly being restrained and particularly maybe being unmotivated or particularly looking for things to do. We decided to put together this 30-day program in April to help people keep their mind in a great place, keep their body in a great place, and keep their spirit in a great place while quarantined and while kind of waiting to see how things play out with this COVID-19. So we thought it was very important to deal with the mind, body, and spirit because anything can happen kind of outside of your home, but also there's things happening within your home, which is your body, and even within your immediate environment that affects you, that affects your family. And so we put together today's presentation. It's a part one of two-part segment in dealing with how to prepare yourself and your family. And it's a very important topic because even before COVID-19, there was a need to be prepared. We have food preparation, of course, but there's also other things to prepare. Um, and we're going to go into it into great details. And we have our guest that will speak about the insurance aspect of preparation. Very important. Um, you have a lot of people, uh, you know, I personally know people who have experienced dealing with family members who have passed from one thing or another, and we see various celebrities are now posting about the deaths. Even the gentleman is saying uh, one of these songs. I think it's "A Lovely Day." I believe it might be that song, but anyway, we have a lot of celebrities who are starting to pass. Some of them are older, and the big question is, are you prepared? What happens to your family if you're no longer here? What happens to you if you become incapacitated? What happens to your household if you're the main breadwinner and there's no sense of direction or the ability to communicate with the bill collectors, with the mortgage company, with the landlord? What things are in place to deal with your family? And we know that death is a difficult conversation for people to have, but at this point, it is a necessary conversation and pretty much a sign of your maturity and able to address what are your plans for your family. So, again, welcome to day 6. I'm Kashab, and hopefully, we can give you something of value for you to be able to share with your family and also extended family. So, today's discussion is preparing yourself and your family, part one. A little bit about me. My name is Kashab, T. Kashab. I'm the visionary behind this project. Um, for more information about me, if you can Google me, you'll see some of the things that I'm working on or that I've done. But really, this is about the vision that was given for other people. We're not selling anyone anything. That's not our intent. Our intent is to give you information that will be able to go with other information for you to make the best possible decisions for yourself and for your family. So, behind that, um, there's a lot of work being done. Um, I have the support of Rafaela. She is doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that you all get the emails and the graphics and the marketing. So I really appreciate her effort in putting that forward so that other people can get value. So I'm Kashab, Rafael is behind the scenes, and we have our great guests. So let's start having this conversation about some of the basic things. And this is a summary of a very extensive list of things that you should have in general, not for COVID 19, but just to be a grown person. There are things that you should have in place for yourself or for your family to just make sure that you're in a good space. Okay. Does this prevent worst case scenario? No, but it addresses worst case scenario. And there's always best case scenario. Best case scenario, they turn the system back on. You go back to the restaurants, to the clubs, to the basketball game, to the football game, and live your life out and worry about it later. Worst case scenario is um, the conversation that they're having is we're about to enter the worst of the scenario. So far, people have been quarantined to their home. There's been a few deaths. You may see on your timeline, if you're on Facebook or on Instagram, you'll see people, talking about they lost someone, or people talking about they're in the hospital or they're tested positive. But they're saying it's about to get worse. So what does that mean? Well, that's worst case scenario. We don't even know what it looks like. But we do know we have the ability to put certain things in place to make sure that certain legacies and certain assets and certain pains that people will suffer as a result of our absence is not the default. You can control the default. Okay. I recently saw an article that said, and this is no shade to Snoop Dogg, but he didn't really care about what happens with his estate after he died because he's not going to be here. I hope that's not the general mentality of, if I'm not benefiting, let everyone else figure it out. That's irresponsible, okay? Especially as men. If we're talking as men or head of household, it's irresponsible to not have something in place for your family and to leave them to figure out or to suffer to figure out the things that you've put in place. So this pie chart represents some of the things, and like I said, the list that we have is probably 3 or 4 times longer, but it's just some of the basic things that you should have in place. Life insurance is a must. Life insurance is not money in the bank. Life insurance is monies in case worst case scenario, and I'll let our guests go into details, but life insurance is just, to me, not an option. Tomorrow, part 2, we're going to touch on finance. We'll have another colleague come in and bring information about money and finance and kind of understanding that. We had a guest speak about finance the other day and give some of the predictions of where you can put your money. But there's also more details or other angles to look at finance. You must have a financial plan. You must have a budget. When you put your budget on paper, you get to see where you're wasting money. A lot of times we waste money on fast food. Fast food is a secret money drain in your family because the $20 run here, the $30 run there, easily a few $20 runs on a monthly basis is $600. That's probably a food budget. Eating out is a little risque right now. Put a budget together, okay? And we'll go into greater details about this, but you need to put a budget together in order for you to know what your projections could look like for your bills. Okay, $1,200 a month is not going to do it for your bills, especially if you live in some of the markets like New York, LA, Chicago. It's not going to do it. It's not going to cut it. Okay. Emotional and social support. Okay. These debts that's deaths that's happening will unfortunately pile up. How are people dealing with and coping with the emotional aspect of death? And what is the fallout? Because when someone dies, the last thing you're thinking about is economic projections, and you're thinking about burial. You're thinking about, and here's another thing. You're thinking about family members that are having rights and claims. A lot of social, emotional support needs to be in place. Legal, paperwork, power of attorney, Transfer after death. What happens to assets? These things have to be put in place. Health and wellness. And we'll have, by the 11th, we'll start doing what's the body segment, exercises, dance exercises, food preparation, health information. But you should have a plan on the health and wellness of your family. Okay. Human capital is capital. And so what does your human capital bank look like as far as the health of your family members and the longevity of life? Okay. Transportation and getting around safely, um, legally. These things should be in place, not just because for COVID-19, for example, right now, people insurances are due. The insurance companies may not forsake 3 months worth of insurance payment. They may or may not. Okay, depends on your carrier. If you got 3, 4 cars, how does that look when the income isn't coming in? Okay, transportation is important. Consolidation. The legacy of the elderly. They told us last month, hey, leave the elderly alone and don't bother them. Okay, so what happens to the legacy and the assets of these elderly people who are left alone? And if they're diagnosed with COVID-19, who takes care of them before? Who takes care of them during? Who takes care of them after? And what happens to all of their hard work over the last 65, 70, 80 years? What happens to that? Because your legacy will get snatched from up under you if certain things are not in place. Same thing with health insurance. What happens when you want to get the test? What are the strategies in order for you to have health insurance in place? They had the Obamacare, that's gone. But is that the only way to get health insurance? What are your options? Do you have that in place? We put arts and creative on here, and you may not think arts and creative is a basic preparation bullet point, but it is, because music helps to soothe. Art helps to soothe, quiet your mind. Nature, which is the creator's art. These things help in keeping peace of mind. And it is also, on another side, art, especially if you're the artist or if you're the creative person, falls under intellectual property. That is still a family asset. Are you looking at that? Are you calculating the value? Not just things you collect, but things that you create. Okay. And business. For those who are sitting home, which is a lot of people, what can you do with your time? Netflix. Some people post, I finished Netflix. How much did that cost you? Because time is money. What did it cost you to finish Netflix? And what could you have done with the time? Out of your time that you're sitting home, are you taking about 20 hours a week to put together some kind of plan so that you can have an alternative means of income? This should have been in place. You should have more than one stream of income. The job dries up. Trump stimulus plan, what happens when that dries up? So we have to look at these as some of the basic preparation, and there's more, but some of the basic things that you should be looking at in general, but now more specifically to get your affairs in order. Okay, so today we're going to have Yancy Martin and Jose Zelaya talk to you about, and they're from Farmers Insurance. They're going to talk to you about some of the things that you should know concerning insurance so that you can prepare yourself and your family and have things in place before you can't have things in place. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to introduce Jose Zelaya and Yancy Martin. They're going to take over the mic, and I'm going to release my screen so that they can have the screen and present to us. Hold on, let me stop sharing. And they're going to have the screen and take us on this intellectual journey and this informational journey on insurance. So, Jose,
Hey, what's going on, brother? And thank you so much for having me. We've been brothers Just a small story. You want me and my brother, because we've been brothers now for what? My children are now 12 years old. We met over the internet on Facebook when we first started our spirit. Well, I started my spiritual journey. You've been in already for some time already, and I just want to thank you so much for being here for me. Through my spiritual journey, and I just appreciate it, man. You've been a great elder. We need more elders in a nation like you, and especially because of how we touch on just not just the scripture, but we touch on everything. We understand that you know there's wealth to be made here as well, and the Most High in Christ has given us the opportunity to have the most talent here, and being able to take over. And so just want to tell you a little bit about why I decided to go with Farmers Insurance. I've been highly recruited by so many companies, especially since I began my journey of being an entrepreneur, and it's been an amazing journey thus far. And just this last year, and I expressed to you with my company, Close Kings, we had just closed a really large client, and we were going to go in and work with them. But last minute, they pulled the plug. Well, that day, I was with my great brother, my great friend, Yancey Martin. And I had been spending some time with him in his office. I love being in his office because of the atmosphere, the energy, and everything is amazing. And he was just like, hey, you know what? I'm going to a farmer's event. Do you want to come with me? And at first, I was reluctant to even going, because I was so down because of the contract we had just closed. It was going to completely change, my life at that point, my family's life. It was going to bring me to another level. And but you know what? It still brought me to another level that day. So I decided to go with Yancey. He gave me a farmer's jacket. Everybody thought I was an agent, and it was nice. And we were playing ball. We were playing bowling. We were bowling. And it was just a day right after Kobe Bryant had passed away. And so I needed to release, Kobe Bryant hit hard to a lot of people, and I'll touch on that why I brought that up as well too, because he was a huge advocate of being prepared financially, having life insurance. Kobe Bryant was not just somebody who was just a basketball player. He was somebody who was very intellectual in so many aspects of the world. And I had a lot of respect for him off and on the court. Well, anyways, I was there at Farmers. The love that we were showing them, we were there from 9 in the morning, no lie to you, till about 4 in the morning the following day, because I was just pounding them with questions and just the atmosphere. It was just an amazing time. And from that point on, I decided to come in with Yancey. He said that he'll mentor me, and I became the protege program. So which now he's teaching me right now how to run my own office. So Yancey, March 5th, he 8 years with Farmers Agency, and man, he's been mentoring me. It's been amazing. And what's really been opening up right now is because of the importance of life insurance. And I'll be honest, I really didn't see too much of it because I've always had life insurance. My family has life insurance. I happen to be one of those Latino families that, we understand the power of it and where it comes from. So I've always known. But I was watching TK Kirkland with Who Raised You, which is an amazing comedian, and he was talking about why gangbangers don't get life insurance. Because we were talking about this, brother,
Yeah.
and and I was like, wow, I was blown because I never thought about that. Not to say that we should. It's very sensitive topic, but I thought it was an amazing topic because it's true. I mean, they're out here. They're not being smart about what they're doing with their life, and it's like we leave a burden. That's why we see these GoFund accounts. We see car washes on the corner. We see all these things where people are knocking on doors. Selling, recycling, whatever, and it brings a burden to the family. First, there's a passing. Second, there's a financial burden, which more than likely a lot of us are check to check. Especially in the urban areas in the hood. And so from that point on, I've been on a mission. And I not have just been studying life insurance. I've been studying our people that use life insurance very wisely. Look at Master P. Master P, the $10,000 his grandfather left him for life insurance, he was able to create No Limit Records, which was the first record store in Oakland, California, which was first hip hop store that Biggie and Tupac and all these E40 and all these rappers that were in that decade, he was able to, build up. But why? Because of life insurance. And so it's very important, especially of what's going on today, guys. We haven't been confirmed yet of what's going to happen. But one of the things that they might add is they might add the COVID-19 test to life insurance before you're even approved for life insurance. They're not there yet, but it's something that might be added. So we need to be proactive, even if it's a term insurance policy, which is a very inexpensive policy. We have whole life policy, index policies, and all these things. But I don't want to get too much because I actually am going to introduce my mentor, a good friend of mine, my brother, Mr. Yancey Martin, and he's going to go ahead and touch a little bit more about these things. Go ahead, Yancey. Thank you.
There's a lot of good information, and I really am thankful that we have technology to be able to continue moving forward, because that is definitely something that, with everything going on, I don't want people to feel stagnant or stuck because we're confined. But in reality, we have so many open windows out there and opportunities to continue to move forward. So thank you guys for inviting me to this particular meeting, because it feels great to constantly be doing this. I've been working like this for a long time in my life. So it might be new to some people, it might not be new, but it is definitely one way that we can continue to move forward. And I wanted to touch base with you guys in regards to how insurance pretty much sets up a certain process for things that happen. So, for example, I live in San Bernardino, Southern California, or close to San Bernardino, but we have mountains here. So whenever those mountains catch on fire, okay, immediately my system gives us limitations on binding coverage in that area. For example, the zip code, it'll say this zip code, you cannot insure anything in that zip code. I can't insure a house. I can't insure a car. I can't even do life insurance at that particular moment in that particular area. Why? Because there's a fire going on. So they're trying to mitigate risk. If it's risky, then we're not going to put our money in there. And that's really how this works. So imagine with, we've been going back and forth with everything going on, and it's happening in quick changes. We can, tomorrow morning, they can just tell us, hey guys, no more life insurance. Where? Anywhere. Why? Because this is a pandemic. I mean, it's it's really touching everybody around us, everywhere. Businesses are shut down, everything. So if you were the insurance company, would you be insuring everybody's lives, knowing you're going to have to pay millions and millions of dollars in about 6, 7 months? That's one question you'd have to ask yourself, and be truthful about it. And the truth is no. If they feel like there's going to be a definite payout from everybody that gets this policy within the next year or so, there's no way for them to do this. They're going to mitigate the risk and say, this is too risky. I am going to get out of it for now. Luckily, this has not happened, and we haven't heard of anything happening like that specifically. I just know, based on my experiences, when there is catastrophic events or anything in that particular area, the insurance company has the authority to just say, we're not selling any new policies today. So if you have a current policy already in place, they can't take that away. That is already active. Coverage is already bound. If you have not been contacted with the virus, you can't say, oh, well, you have the virus, now we're going to deny your policy. No, once you have it, you have it. And this is why we're letting everybody know that there is very inexpensive ways to at least get something. With Farmers Insurance, they have a 10-year policy. It's a term policy, very inexpensive. A 41-year-old can get, as long as they're healthy today, on a $500,000, they can get, a lot of stuff on there too. So
Let me interject real quick too, just real before we forget one thing. This is another reason why I decided to go with Farmers, guys. Is Farmers is the only company that when you have a term policy, the year before your policy is ready to expire, you can actually convert that to a whole life insurance policy. Okay. So I just wanted to go ahead and add that real quick. Go ahead, Nancy.
yeah, and then for anybody that is interested on getting into more detail, we're not going to really talk about different types of policies per se here. It's more of just the need to be proactive and to work towards things that are useful for our family. And there's one story that I like to tell everybody that I heard recently, and I've been in this for some years now, and I barely heard this story recently. So it was pretty interesting to me to find out that this family, the Kennedy family, okay, these are huge, it's a huge family with a lot of wealth. So the Kennedy family, something that they do that has created their wealth, is they actually get a life insurance policy on every single family member that's born. Okay. So how soon can I get life insurance on somebody? We have to wait till they're 15 days old. So if the baby's born, the baby's 15 days old, then they're eligible for a life policy. That is the cheapest you will ever get that life policy ever, because you're the youngest and you're the furthest day, statistically furthest away from the day of passing. So think about this statistically. That's the price that you're going to be at the least expensive. And you can lock in your price for the rest of your life if you were to obtain a whole life policy. So why did the Kennedys do this? Well, think about this. Now, every time someone passes away, they're going to get a life insurance paid out. The crazy thing is that the policy they're getting for everybody that's born is a $20 million life policy. So that means that any person in the family passes away, $20 million. Okay. Now, what does this do? This creates wealth and and every passing, they're not worried about car washes like Jose was mentioning earlier. That they have nice funerals and everything that they can do. Plus, it creates wealth for the family. More business can happen, more movement, more activity. And the strange thing about this is, if you really think about this, that is really the only the only policy, the only insurance policy that guarantees is going to be used one day. It's guaranteed. It is going to be used. You can be paying auto insurance for 30 years and never have an accident. Okay. You can own a house for 30 to 40, 50 years and never be involved in any kind of loss with that home. Okay. But life insurance, for sure, you're going to use it. It's just how it is. So we've done numbers. Me and Jose have gone back and forth and throughout this mentorship and training. And he's very, very excited about these teachings because these things they're just never taught to us. We go through elementary, we go through junior high, high school, even college and graduate school. And we don't get taught the significance of life insurance unless you take investment courses, right? Some sort of money courses, because life insurance is definitely a tool to use for money in a sense to create things. So um, Jose, I really like that you were showing me a video. There's this comedian that he's a stand-up comedian, but he's also very knowledgeable. His name is TK, and he was talking about this life insurance situation where, if I were to get a life policy, let's say I'm here working very hard. Okay, I'm here working really hard, and I'm providing for my family, correct? And then I pass away, and I leave them with nothing. My family is going to have to restart everything that I started, or maybe piggyback onto what I left. Maybe a business that ain't doing that well, or is barely making it, or whatever the case may be. But what happens if I pass away and I would have leave them, $500,000 with everything that I've already done, and then now they can learn. Not only that, all of my children have $500,000 life policies, and I got them when they're babies. And just to let you guys know, I do have 6 children. Okay, so with my 6 boys, I didn't learn this until later in my life, but my 3 new babies, they all have life policies, and they cost me $8 a month for $100,000. So if anything ever happens, they get to keep this policy, but they have this for $8 a month. So when they're older and they have children, they have this policy that everybody wants, and it's only $8, and they can keep that. And then they're going to teach their kids to constantly. So eventually, 3 generations down, because of what I did, because my mom, my dad were not interested in this. They thought they were getting sold something. So the only reason they think they don't need it is because no one ever told them that they need to get it, right? But the truth is you do need it. Just because it's not illegal to not have it, right? Like an auto policy. If you don't have an auto insurance policy, oh, you were what we say we were riding dirty, right? Well, I think you're riding dirty without life insurance. That's the truth. I really do.
Facts.
And that's one of the things that people need to get down and say, look, this is definitely a need. I can go out there. When this first started, I had made a video on my social media recording myself, and I was letting everybody know that I'm staying positive with all these changes. I'm continuing moving forward. One thing that helped me do that is knowing that if anything happens to me, my family's gonna get $500,000, at least on one of my policies, right? I have a $500,000 policy. I have a 250,000 on ULs, which again we can talk about why I would do that investment wise. But I do have a term policy that's 500,000 for 30 years, and that one right there, if anything happens to me, I do get sick, or not just this COVID-19, but what if I get in a car accident or something else happens to me?
Right.
My family is going to have this. And that's the whole reason I go to work, is for them. So if I'm going to work and something happens to me, well, hey, at least financially, there'll be some sort of, moves that they can make, try to proactively adjust to this, and adapt to what has been happening. So We're talking a lot about that as well as adaptive, right? Jose?
Absolutely, absolutely. Adaptation is huge right now because of what's going on. Because, there's this essential, non-essential, kind of thing going on right now. But if you really look down in history, you know, uh, wealth and millionaires and billionaires are created in inefficiency, and that's what's happening right now. So it's an opportunity for everything and everybody right now, financially, and because I know you touched on that, a little bit in the beginning,
Right.
and fear is definitely controlling a lot of our people, and we want to stand firm on, let's not operate on fear, but let's continue to stay strong in faith.
Right. And something else I want to go ahead and touch base on. Now, this is what's happening currently in today's market with insurance. We don't really have any answers on life insurance, any other kind of insurance. As of we know right now, business is still continuing to move exactly how it has been. Okay. Our company, countrywide in Farmers Insurance, we are actively working from home. Due to technologies, we're able to do this. Our claims are being processed through Zoom calls, a bunch of stuff that is happening that is still getting us proactive to, working towards this insurance and this industry. But one thing that I do want to mention in what can possibly change in the future, and we're talking about years from now, and this is if, this pandemic, this corona thing's going on, and there's a lot of claims being paid out through life insurances, these prices are going to go up. They're going to go up because they're not going to be, meaning the risk of passing away is increased. So because this risk is increased, well, now, we're going to charge more. For example, and this is just example purposes and me thinking outside the box, or, just seeing history, is in regards to, they're saying that our older community, right, is getting like, the rate of them recovering from this coronavirus is a little bit higher, right? I mean, lower. So if you're a certain age, imagine if they say, oh, well, you're over 40 because of coronavirus, you most likely will get it and you won't recover. Oh, we're going to charge you a lot. So they can do that eventually. Eventually, statistic numbers are going to come in, and it's all going to be based on certain things. Um,
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was actually listening to this gentleman named Danny, and he was talking about all the numbers have recently came out, financially, of what's increased, alcohol, Netflix, so many things have increased, fast food has increased. So people are not really eating healthy while they're home. They're not being, conscious of, say, a lot of people are saying, oh, I've always needed time to work out, I don't have time. Well, right now we have that time. We have that time to, a lot of us, really convert over and clean our colons, clean our bodies, and really do our best to stay healthy, moving forward. I think that's very important right now. Let's not just take this time of quarantine right now, or isolation, of just creating laziness. I think that we need to move forward and think, not just, the mental aspect or financial aspect, but the health aspect is very, very, extremely, extremely important right now. The earth is resetting, and therefore we need to reset as well. So I think that's very important. I think we lost Yancey right now. Let's see here. Okay, he just texted me. He's gonna get on right now. Okay. So but yeah, definitely, do you guys have any questions right now, or anything that you guys want to ask, or open up? He's gonna get on right now. Okay, cool. He's gonna get on right now.
I got a
Sorry
quick,
about that. Sure.
um, this is Kishab. I have a quick question. I know you mentioned hypothetically that the rates may change because of age. And then Jose, you mentioned, people are now being um, more consumers of alcohol. How can you give us an idea of how this new marijuana law, how does that play into someone being qualified? Do they in any way discriminate against someone who is a marijuana user, whether for medical or recreational, as a disqualifier? Because now you may create for them I don't know the metrics on that, but how does that play into the decision making of someone qualifying now, and how do you project that in the future?
That's a very good question. Right now, we have not been advised, that marijuana is going to be something that's going to be against. Matter of fact, farmers, we actually insure dispensaries. We're one of the few insurance companies that we actually insure dispensaries. And it's smart because, we're here in California. But as far as right now, the only thing that I personally have experienced is that if they do a policy of 150,000 or more, they'll have to actually do a physical. And if they, actually see any type of tobacco usage or anything, they won't really say that it's marijuana, because they'll ask them, do you smoke? And they'll say no. But if they find anything, they'll just be like, well, we found this, but they don't classify it yet as marijuana. Now, moving forward, I don't see them, actually increasing the prices for that because it's becoming legal in so many states. So, I believe that the marijuana users, from at least what I've experienced in talking with them, they're pretty much safe right now, from them increasing the prices. The only thing really that they're mainly focusing on is COVID-19. Obviously because of what it's happening right now with the death rate. And but again, one of the things Yancey was saying is that they're specifically looking at what age is it going to be a cutoff, or you have to go get a physical, or in some situations they even told us that they might not even insure certain people from a certain age. Again, these are hypothetical situations. It's not something that is really going to happen, but it's there. Right now, that silver lining is there right now, and so we definitely need to be extremely proactive right now. And again, when you talk to just anybody about life insurance, they really feel like they're being sold, right? So recently, I just been telling a lot of people, hey, do you have insurance on your vehicle? Yes. Do you have insurance on your phone? Yes. Do you have insurance on your jewelry? Yes. Okay, well then how come you don't have insurance on your life? It's just really why don't you, why is that not, and I get it too. Like I said, I've been in the spectrum a little bit of where I was so ignorant with that. Again, and I'm very thankful for my family because my father was very aware of this information, so was my mother. But what if I wasn't? What if I didn't know the importance of it? And this is where a lot of us come in. That's why recently I did a video on an average. Okay, for example, I'm a sneakerhead, right? And so one of the things that oh, Yancey's back. Hey, what's up, Yancey?
How
And
you guys
so
doing?
so
You guys can see me? Sorry.
yeah,
Apologize about that. Okay, good.
yeah, I told him you lost signal. You hit me up. So one of the things right now, because we all know this is from our culture is, I have a friend of mine, he spends an average about $200 a month on buying Jordans, right? That comes about 2,400 a month. Like Yancy mentioned, a policy for a young child is 15 days or a year old. It's going to be $144 for the whole year. You just pay the whole year a policy for your child, rather than just buying a pair of Jordans that month. Okay, so this is where we have to change the mind, and even with the cannabis as well, too, right? With the flower, when I think about it, as a personal user, and it's also as like a lot of my friends as well, the average person is purchasing an eighth every 3 days. We did the math on that. That's $700 a month. And most people don't do the math when they're making their purchases on their leisure stuff. And I think that right now is the best time to start doing your mathematics on where your money is going, because you're not going to the bar. You're not, I mean, alcohol is being consumed a lot. And obviously, that affects the lungs. And we all know that that's a bigger drug than the cannabis. But one of the things right now, we just have to stay really mindful and really conscious of what's happening around us right now. So
Yeah, and something that I'll go ahead and add to the life insurance portion of all these things. There are many programs out there that allow you to be able to use your life insurance and not have to pass away. Okay, so for example, we have something called a critical illness rider. So what this means is if you were to, get a heart attack, a stroke, life-threatening cancer, this is some sort of critical illness, you're eligible to receive up to 50% of your benefit. So if I have a $150,000 term policy and I would have a heart attack, meaning that doesn't necessarily mean that I pass away. That just a catastrophic event in my life. Um, and this actually happened to my father. But at the time, my father was ineligible because he was diabetic. So it was by the time I had learned about all this, I tried to get my dad a policy and diabetes. He was taking insulin. I don't want you to think that because you have diabetes, you don't qualify. It's just certain regulations. But at the time, my father, he was uneligible. In about 2 years after, me becoming an insurance agent and wanting my father to get a policy, and he got denied, he actually had a heart attack. And so we went into the hospital. They were able to, save his life, and they put a stent in his heart, but he couldn't go back to work. And he is a self-employed person. He's a truck driver. So as a truck driver, he has to drive to make money. So he's self-employed, but he still has to drive. So he wasn't able to drive. He wasn't able to go anywhere. And me and my brother, because my dad did not have life insurance in place, did not have anything to help him in this situation, we had to financially take care of him. So we were paying his mortgage payment, paying his bills for him, taking care of him and my mom, just to make sure, because mom stayed at home. She never worked. So these are the kind of things and situations that really hit me to where I need to tell everybody, because again, being raised by my parents and the traditional Hispanic family was, I'm being sold something, and it's not necessarily just Hispanics, it's just average people say, I don't want to talk about life insurance because you're selling me. And I think we get this impression because, we're so excited about what we're learning and we're telling so many people about it, that we do come off as salespeople. We come off as salesmen. And the truth is yes, I am a salesperson. I need to sell my product in order for me to survive. But that's not the reason that I'm telling you these things, because at the point in my agency now, and what I've been mentoring Jose on, is we're here to help you guys. There's, not to come off standoffish, but we're not about a policy. Like, I don't need a number. There's no contract for me to say you need to sell a certain amount or you need to do anything. There's no numbers for us. We don't have numbers to hit. Even sometimes we're driving and we get pulled over and the police officer gives us a ticket. We're like, it's the end of the month. He probably needed to hit some of his ticket numbers, right? So there's always a reasoning behind why we are trying to give you this policy. And the only reason is that we want everyone to understand and to be educated and to really see how this is going to change your life and change your generational life, meaning your kids' lives. And you need to start now. And Jose, I've always commended you on this, because Jose, growing up, he changed how his family eats. Okay. The whole family, like him and his kids, they don't eat pork, they don't eat certain things. And he changed the DNA of his kids, because now his kids, they're all thin. My family, we have a hard time with this weight thing. And it's probably because we were never taught to eat correctly. We were taught eat whatever we got at the table, as opposed to eating correctly. And to weed my kids out of that is something that I would have to do. So the same thing goes with life insurance and other policies. If you want your family to learn about these things, you have to really get yourself educated. Find out about what kind of policies are good for you. Find out what's good for your family, what's going to benefit you guys. And everybody has to do a needs list too. We have to find out a needs analysis. So what's a needs analysis? I need to see exactly what you need. Okay. And the way that we do this is by spelling out the word life, Life. Okay. So the L is all your loans, all your liabilities, everything that you need to pay off in case something were to happen to you. Here, you're going to add your mortgage, your car payments, your credit card payments, everything that you have in a debt. Then you have the I. The I is there for income. Okay. So for example, if I were to pass away, how much money do I make a month? How much do I want to leave my family? Do I want to leave 6 months worth of my income, a whole year's worth of my income? How much time does my family need in order for them to get back on their feet, to deal with this emotional trauma they're dealing with, all that good stuff. The next letter is the F, which is final expenses or funeral expenses. The average funeral right now costs anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, right? A decent funeral. Just getting cremated is about $10,000 or something like that. So these are conversations we truly have to have with you guys. I know sometimes we don't want to talk about it because we're talking about a very emotional event in our lives. But the truth is if we're there working every day, that's what we're doing. We're there for our families, and this is our last time to be there for them, yeah, at least financially, right? So the last letter is the E, which is extra or educational expenses. For example, if you have children, you want to leave some money for education. I like to put the word extra there because maybe it's just something extra. Doesn't necessarily have to be for education, but maybe you want to buy, some extra, or you want to leave your kids extra money, or anybody extra. So once we do a needs analysis, we're going to find out exactly how much you need if something were to happen to you today. And once we find out all the needs, then there's different programs that can meet those needs. Another misconception is that you're only allowed to have one life policy. So a lot of people say, oh no, Yancy, I'm not interested in learning because I already have a life policy over at my, oh, thank you so much for putting that there. I don't want to learn about this life policy. I don't want to have a meeting with you because I already have a life policy at work. Okay. I already have one at work. And normally I'll ask, oh, do you know what it is? And they never have an answer. They say, oh, I don't know what I have, but I know if, I were to pass, my kids get like $50,000. Well, the first thing is they don't even know what they have. So if it's $8 a month or whatever, you know, thing it is that they take out of their check, it's still important for them to know what policy they have, because here you're thinking you have coverage, and in most cases these umbrella packages are accidental life policies. Accidental life policies are the least expensive policies out there. The reason is because the risk is so low for the insurance company. They put in verbiage or words in the policy stating you have to pass away in an accident, and the accident has to be while it's snowing, while it's raining at the same time, while you're driving a car with one hand. Like we joke about it because they're so detailed. What does the accident entail? Or some of them are dismemberment policies, meaning the only way it's going to pay is if you were to have a dismemberment, meaning your head would have to get chopped off or something. And these are true. I've seen policies like this, and those are, $6 a month for a dismemberment. And it's like, well, that company is going to get $6 a month from you forever. Is it really accessing your needs? And that's why it's important to get educated on this, to get educated on life policies, what they can do for you, what they can do for your family, as opposed to, oh, yeah, I already have one. It's inexpensive, so I'm okay with it. And you still need to know. Secondly, what happens when you lose your job? How many people have lost their jobs out there today? Okay, all these people that thought they had a life policy, well, they no longer work there no more. So if they don't work there no more, they don't have a life policy anymore. It's just a benefit that they lose. So it is recommended to add a separate life policy for yourself and your family. Get one on your kids on a separate portfolio, something that's completely separate as opposed to, what you have with your job. So it is, I can't express enough about this stuff, and really I love educating people on it. Next, on the next segment or another day, if you'd like, we can go into more of an education on the policies, what they can do for you, how they can actually make you money while we're alive. For example, the universal policies, those guarantee money. They guarantee money on your money. So every time I'm making a monthly payment, a piece of that is getting invested, and it's growing into what they call a cash value account. And if I had one, 25 years ago, when my parents should have got me one, okay, I can have $15,000 to $20,000 in there right now, and a catastrophic event hits, I'm ready. I could have just pulled from that cash value account. I could have just pulled from there and been able to adjust some things. So, these are some things that I do want to get people to understand, to really, just get educated on it, start reading about it, and try to go to people that are close to you to explain. Let us know if you need to DM us, you want to ask Jose or myself a question, please reach out to us. I know we're going to have some question and answer section towards the end of this. So I just want to make sure that we keep that open for you guys.
Okay, and we're going to definitely put up your information for those that have additional questions.
Yeah.
Um, I have one more question, and then I'll open it up. And if anyone has any questions, you can put it in the chat, or you can unmute your mic after this question. You mentioned, Yancy, that if there was a fire, that the insurance company would say, "Hey, that's not a good area. We won't accept any policies written from that area if there's a fire." Does that
Right.
same kind of concept uh, happen in the hood, where there is certain areas by zip code that will not be looked at because that's a high risk area? There's shootings, there's robberies, there is a high crime. Is
Yeah.
that
So it's a great question because the insurance companies actually what they do is there's five different factors that play into part when they're insuring a vehicle. Okay, it's going to be the driver, the age that they're at, their experience. It's going to be their record. It's going to be the type of car they have, the zip code. Okay, now why the zip code? Well, the zip code because of crimes. So if there's a lot of cars being stolen in that particular area, insurance is just relatively more expensive in that particular area. With life insurance, there isn't really so much regulation on where you live because life insurance is more of a state mandate. So, for example, as long as you sign your paperwork in the state of California, I can insure your life insurance no matter where you live. It doesn't matter where you live, as long as you were to actually sign over here, because that's where my license pertains. So it's really hard for them to say, oh, you live in LA, oh, your life insurance is more. So they base it all off on health, and it is based on age. So the older I am, the more expensive it gets. The healthier I am, the less expensive it is. So that's pretty much it as far as that. It doesn't really go based on zip code. That's why right now there's really no restriction. With the fire, it's a little easier because they can say, oh, there's a fire right there. That fire is going to creep up and maybe burn this house. So if you see a fire in your backyard, you can't call us and get insurance right then and there because you're basically foreseeing what's about to happen. So um, I feel like I'm foreseeing what's about to happen with life insurance because I have seen insurance companies just stop binding coverage. Just say, we're not selling anymore. That's it. So if you have one, you're good. But if you don't, it's going to be more. I just presume it to be more and more difficult. Right now, nothing has changed. It's super easy. We have policies where you don't even need a medical examination. We just put in an application, no medical, and you're approved today. Today you make your payment and you're good to go. And we make it very easy for you guys that way, at least to get something in place, and they're not expensive. So once you have something in place and you want to take the time to sit down with an insurance professional like ourselves and really determine what is best for you, then we can do that as well.
okay? Thank you very much for that, Yancy.
You're welcome.
We have a question from Rel in the chat, and she says, "For universal insurance, Can you get it with a pre-existing medical condition? Can riders be purchased after the policy is enforced?"
So with the specific now, so anytime you want to do okay, so let's answer the first question. The first question was, what was it again in regards to the universal?
For universal
If I have pre-existing conditions, right?
condition,
Yeah. So if you have pre-existing conditions, yes. So the insurance company, what they're going to do is they're going to do a medical, okay, and they're going to see, medical records, and if there's something that they want to point out or revisit, they can, and then they're going to adjust their risk. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be denied. It just means that it can possibly be more expensive. So just because you're a higher risk of an individual. So that's how they would judge that. As far as riders go, if there's any major riders occurring, I would definitely call your insurance company on that question, just because every policy is different on when you can add or remove riders. I just know if there's a rider being added within the 2-year probation period. There's a 2-year probation period that we have with our policies, that if any changes are made, they'll just reinvestigate. They're going to find out what's going on. But in most cases, if it's, if you can justify like, oh, well, I just make more money now, so I want to have a better policy, or I wasn't aware of those particular riders because it wasn't explained to me. So it is going to be a case by case, and I don't see a problem with you adding those things. There's just going to be a process, and just be prepared for that kind of thing. If you need to provide something, be prepared. But yeah, most cases are open as far as making adjustments with our policies, as long as you can answer questions that they have. Oh, you're very welcome.
Is there anyone else that has any questions that we can cover? We could probably take one or the maximum two more questions. You can type it in the chat or you can ask it. I see Yasmin unmuted. Did you have a
So
question?
I'll give you guys another little tip really
Gracias.
quickly out there that's really interesting, is when you think about there's only two types of policies, okay? There's a term policy and a whole life policy. A term policy is like, it's just like if you needed a car today. I need a car, I just need to get from point A to point B, so I'm gonna get something. But the whole life policy is like buying a Mercedes. It's buying what you really want, it's what you really need. It's gonna take you to from point A to point B with comfort, with, you know. So they are more expensive policies, but they're worth it. They're more expensive for a reason. So if somebody out there, you know, does give you a quote for a whole life policy and it sounds out of reach because of finances, don't get discouraged. You know, there's other ways to access those policies. You can break those down, get a term on this side, get a whole life on this side. Remember, you can have more than one. So just while you're out there shopping, make sure you remember that the whole life policy is like a Mercedes. It's really good and but it's going to cost you more. And the term policies, you know, it's going to do the job, at least for now. Okay.
All right, wonderful. Yasmin, you had a question?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I wanted to know, do you discuss do you discuss with people who sign up all of the parameters as to like what falls under their policy when it comes to cause of death, or is it something where you have to, you know, go on and sign on online and have to look up those things yourself?
I'm not really understanding the question. So once there is a passing, you're saying, like if someone were to pass away,
Yes,
what's the
like
process?
no, before, like when you're actually signing up. So do you discuss like all the different, I guess, when it comes to like causes of death, what falls under the policy that they have, like as to, you know.
So the way our application works, it's kind of like if you were going to go to it's very general questions. So for example, there's about 3 pages of medical history. So we'll ask, you know, is there any history of heart disease? Okay. Is there any history of blood pressure? Is there anything when you were born? Certain things like that we just kind of just ask. They're just questions. So we aren't in any way form doctors, and we don't know anything as far as like the data and the statistics that the system is using or that life insurance uses to get people qualified. But our application does ask as far as just anything. So I normally, just to make it a little easier for the customer, because the applications take about 30 minutes or so, is, are you generally healthy? Yeah, okay. Is your blood pressure good? Is your sugar levels good? How would you say as far as weight goes, right? We have to put in the weight right there for your age, and there's numbers and charts they use that people should be an average weight for their age as well. Do you currently smoke? Do you not smoke? So these are things that can add premium, because if you know you do have high blood pressure, then your risk levels are a little higher, and that definitely can increase your premiums. But it's still not crazy or unreachable. The ones that I've seen that get very expensive you know, if you are diabetic, diabetes is something that they're approving if you're not taking insulin, but it still becomes very expensive of a policy. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, awesome. You're welcome.
Thank you all for the questions. What we're going to do, we're going to put up the information for Yancy and for Jose, for you to be able to reach them if you have any questions. And we wanted to thank you for the very informative information. I hope that those who don't have life insurance really seriously consider it, and also get an understanding of all the products that are available, specifically whole life and what they can do in order for them to secure their family and their financial future. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and get your information up there. And then if you guys have any closing statements, you can make it once we share the screen and show them how to get in contact with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really like this, by the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate, you guys having us here, and this is amazing. I think we're going on the right foot for the second quarter of the year, and I think this is an amazing conversation to have. So thank you again for having us here.
My pleasure. Hold on, let me share the screen. Right, so on the screen, you'll see the information for Jose and for Yancy. Um, and the phone number is 213-864-8192. And the link is linktr.ee/Jose G.Zelaya. Um, I will also see if that information can be put in the chat. And if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to them directly. Also, if you like to follow, we'll have that information on the 30-day redemption fan page. Also, if you have any questions for me, Kashab, you can reach me on Facebook on my fan page. Shoot me a message, or if you're already friends with me on Facebook, shoot me a message there, and I'll be happy to relate any information to you. Jose and Yancy, thank you again. If you guys have any closing statements, we'd love to hear from you. And then we'll close out.
Okay.
Any closing statements?
Let me see. I'll go ahead and just again say thank you to everybody. As far as everything goes with what's happening, with the COVID-19 restrictions that we have to stay home and stay, I really want everyone just to embrace this and really take the change. And one thing, as a business owner myself, I've been in business for 17 years myself, self-employed. One thing that has helped me is always adapting to changes, adapting to what's happening, and just start adapting, start getting used to this particular thing. If you guys have other Zoom things you want me to be a part of, I'll extend this out because it's something that I enjoy to do myself. So, my closing statement is, if you have any questions, please give me a call, shoot me a text message, send me an email, and we'll keep in contact. And if, anything else comes up, let me know.
Yeah, I want to say thank you again for having us here. Absolutely. That's something that Yancy and I are preaching right now is, adaptation. And we all know here that, when it comes to us, we are the most intelligent creatures on this planet, and we know how to adapt. And again, what I tell everybody is, don't let fear control you, but keep your faith. And just let's keep moving forward, because it's definitely an economic shift, and we definitely want to be a part of that wave, because it's going to be amazing. So let's continue to be positive, continue to strive. And again, thank you so much for having us. Elder, thank you so much. And everybody here. Yancy, thank you for being here as well. And there's our contact information. Please give us a call. We'll even help you go over your policy that you currently have right now, or for your job, anything. We're more than glad to help.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, and God bless. And we will touch base again tomorrow on the 7th day of the 30-day redemption.
Beautiful. Thank you
Awesome.
again.
Thank you so
Take care.
much.